If any of this doesn't make any sense, please do not hesitate to ask the question in my comments and I will answer all the questions. I wrote down a few points here. If you've ever framed a painting, you'll know how expensive it is. And because I used to paint quite large canvases, frames can get very expensive unless they're canvases, the type of canvas that don't need frames, which are the only type of canvases I buy now. Or I will go to a thrift store, buy frames that either have glass or they're just the frames themselves, and then I will paint the picture the size of the frame, not the other way around. I used to paint pictures in all sizes, and then of course, because they weren't standard, you can't just buy a frame off the rack. You have to go and get it made, and that's even more expensive. So this is an example of something I bought recently at a thrift store, and it's just a nice modern frame. It has the glass already in there. I just have to take it apart, paint my little watercolor painting, and just pop it right in there. Now, if I was going to paint a watercolor and then go buy the frame and the glass for this, it would have cost a lot of money, and I think this cost me like $5 or something. So that is a big saving. Yeah, by the way, matting, if you've ever matted a watercolor, it gets very expensive. And then also, if you frame them behind glass, the glass breaks, which happened to a few of my paintings, especially since I've moved around quite a bit. And it's very rare not to have the glass broken when you're moving. So yes, size matters. Not only does painting smaller canvases save me a lot of money on paint, the paper, the framing, they are a lot easier to store. I used to have a big studio with a lot of space, but that's no longer the case. So I really have to be careful about not getting too ahead of myself, which I used to do. And then I would have to end up like this one time. I had so many paintings that I actually had a garage sale. And I think I sold 2 paintings that day. They certainly were smaller paintings. They weren't the paintings that I had spent a lot of money on framing. And another thing I really like these days is minis. Like, say for instance, these little minis. You know how people will say they can't go into a animal shelter because if they do, they know they'll come out with a cat or a dog or some kind of pet. Well, now I kind of feel the same way about going into an art supply store, because when I go in there, I end up buying stuff I don't really need. I have so many things, as you can see here, way more paints than I need, certainly way more brushes than I need. I counted these, they're like 62, and all kinds of watercolors, watercolor pencils. I don't think I've used them actually even more than once. So anyway, I would go into a store, and if they had a sale on something, I'd end up buying, like say for instance, these little wooden easels. I remember buying these for like 10 cents a piece. And so I think I bought like 50 of them. I think I only have 2 left, but they're great for displaying little mini paintings like this. If you're going to an art fair and you have a table and you can put your little paintings on them. Like I said, when I see something on sale, I can't resist it. I have a whole box of these mini frames, probably about 30 little frames in here. Now, eventually I will fill them all with little paintings. Maybe some of them have cats, like it looks like this one has cat, and the little florals sell well, little cats sell well. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, I no longer throw anything out. It used to be that I would paint, and if it didn't turn out, I would just throw it away. Well, after a while, I learned that if you flip it over, you can do another painting on the other side, or you can cut it up and you can make little bookmarks. Sometimes you can even cut parts out of the painting that didn't turn out, and it will be a painting in itself. And here's a whole box of watercolor paper that I got just from cutting up pieces that didn't work, or just making little bookmarks, etc. Bookmarks are fun to do. If you give a book as a gift, you can put your own bookmark in it. As you can see, this was from an old painting that didn't quite turn out. Here's another little mini painting. Anyway, what else, guys? So even paintings on canvas, I sometimes, instead of throwing them away or just being depressed over them, I will paint over one canvas multiple times. And I still have paintings today that I have painted maybe 10 years ago, and I still have not finished them. And I had one painting that I think I painted over it about 5 different times, and I finally ended up with a painting that I really loved, and the person who bought it really loved it as well. This one here, it's not finished. Someday I will finish this painting, and it doesn't take up a lot of room because it's done on hardboard, just hardboard. And as I was saying, sometimes if I had a painting on hardboard that didn't turn out, I would actually just cut out the hardboard into smaller pieces that I would then paint smaller paintings on. I thought I had an example of that here, but I don't, because today, guys, I am so disorganized today, and I've been wanting to make this video for ages, but I've been so busy.
Excuses, excuses.
And today I know that this video probably sounds like a mumble jumble. Just hope you'll bear with me. Also, if you have any questions, enter them in the comments and I will be sure to answer every single one. All right then, that's it for now.